Guy says, hey, can you take a look at my walk behind? There's something wrong with this thing. And he says, it's smoking up a storm. Just big ball of smoke coming out. So my immediate reaction was probably a head gasket had blown. So he brought it over, and before I even got it off the trailer, I said, can I take a look at it? And he said, yeah. So I wanted to hear if the piston connecting rod was broke, because he said there was some clanking going on, and that concerned me. But I didn't hear the clanking. He didn't either when we tried to turn it, but it won't turn. So that means that either the overhead valve needs adjusted, or there's a mechanism inside the engine on the camshaft. The camshaft is broke, has a little decompression mechanism. Of course, you could just have hydro lock. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the spark plug off, see if the connecting rod is broke. So what we do is we take the spark plug out, we'll turn the engine, we'll stick something in the hole, turn the engine over by hand and see if it's going up and down. Well, that's interesting. It's full of gas. Well, let's check the oil. Oh yeah. So there's gas in the crankcase too. So what has happened is gas has filled up the crankcase, and now it's rolling into the piston, into the cylinder, I should say. I bet if I turn this over by hand, gas will come out of it. It'll shoot out. Yep. Yep. So that tells me the carburetor is leaking by. So this is actually a pretty easy repair, I think. But what it means is something is jamming up the float or the valve. There's a needle valve, and that needle valve can get stuck with the float, or the seal is broke. Okay, so I'm going to take the carburetor off. I turned it over a few times to see if we were still getting compression. So there's gas all over the air filter. So it's flooding up. Yeah, there's gas up here too. Let me show you. So gas is already coming up in here. So it's everywhere. Yep, it's coming out of the crankcase vent also. That's the crankcase breather, is what it's actually called. And I have not removed the fuel line just yet, because I want to see how much gas is pouring out of it. Yep, it's dripping. I don't know if you saw that, but it's still dripping. So now I'm gonna clamp off the fuel line so we don't lose all the gas in there. Take the fuel line off the carburetor. All right, so before I buy a new carburetor, I am going to try to see if we can figure out how to fix this one. I don't have. Okay, so now I'm going to take the bowl off, and you'll see the float. This is the float. Okay, so the gasket that was in it was broke. So I replaced it with one I had, but it wasn't in real good shape. At least wasn't broke. So what I'll do is I'll put the carburetor back on, and we'll see. We'll have to replace the carburetor. But I'll still be able to test to see if this is going to work, assuming definitely don't want that oil to it's too thin. The engine burn up. Oh, look at that, it just pours out like gas. Yep, full of gas. Oh, and you can smell the gas too. And stop valve, a fuel shutoff valve, pretty much for my safety, if anything. I changed the oil, and of course I put on the old carburetor. I've tried to rebuild it. I know for a fact I'm going to have to get a carburetor. Now the other thing is I can now turn it. I've put the spark plug back in, and I can turn it by hand if everything wasn't so greasy or oily. I don't know if I can do it with it being so much oil. Yeah, I can do it. Yeah, so that's a lot better. So now what I'm going to try to do is start it and see if at least we'll turn over with starting fluid. My hope is it'll run for a second with starting fluid. So I've got the gas on, I've got starting fluid in it, oil has been changed, so here we go. So that's good news. So it does run. Nothing's broke in it. I'll shut the gas back off so it doesn't fill back up with gas. So all I got to do now is buy a new carburetor, which is fine. So I bought another carburetor. So we're going to replace that carburetor today and see if we can get this thing running. This is an easy repair, so we'll get it busy. So I've already got some of it disassembled from last time. I didn't put it all the way back together. I didn't need to test it. So this piece is already off, so I don't need to deal with that. So all we're going to do is take the carburetor off. Wow, look at that. Isn't that something? That is loose. I did not touch that. So is that one. I did not touch that the last time. Wow. Okay, so we'll take our linkages off. You should always record your linkage placement so you know how to put it back on. Or take a picture of it. I say record because that's what I do. So we got the choke linkage there. We got the throttle linkage here and a little spring right behind it. Okay, so here's the new carburetor. Comes with gaskets and different things. If we need it, more hose. Comes with spark plugs, a shut off went out. Now so we'll change the spark plug. Just as well change the fuel filter also. Okay, so we're gonna reinstall everything here. We'll put the choke on. Choke linkage, I should say. Put the throttle on. The camera, I'm always in the way of the camera. It's very difficult to film what I'm doing and actually do what I'm doing at the same time. And then we got this spring that we got to get in behind it. And that's that. And then we gotta get the choke back into its slot. So we'll put in the new gasket. There's a crankcase breather hose here that you got to make sure you get into the air filter assembly nozzle. Let's measure it up. Yep. Okay, you may have not known this, and I have never done it, but I thought I'd show you that you should be torque specking your spark plug. It's 180 inch-pounds for a Briggs & Stratton engine. And what we're going to be listening for is the click of the socket. There it was right there. That's all we have to do. Okay, in the last step we're going to replace the fuel filter just because the carburetor came with one, and just well do it. Been on there a while. It's kind of stuck. Okay, I'm going to turn on the gas. Let the carburetor fill up a bit while I get the air filter put back on. And then we'll give it a test drive. We'll see if it works. Okay, so I think it's running. I added a little bit more oil. Once that oil got spreaded around inside the engine, I'm sure, yeah, I mean, the gas just cleaned the engine out, so it was low again after I ran it just for a few seconds. So I filled it back up, smoothed right out. I've already called the customer and let them know to come get it in your dreams. Thanks for watching.